Right, I'm a secondary school teacher, and I, for the last year, have been experimenting with a thing called solo taxonomy, which I read about on Twitter. Various things going on. This is really a sort of short potted history. Last year I did talks about what is solo. This is more about the history of how I've been using it in my classroom. It starts, oh sorry, go back in, sorry. These are symbols within solo, which is about children making progress. And the reason I liked it was because it's got symbols instead of big words. Okay, I started last year because it's that magic word. I needed my children to be making progress, and I needed to make it clear to them how they could make progress. So, May 2012, I read about it, and I got involved in discussions. I tried some ideas out in class, and then a few geography people that I know, and Emma knows quite a few of them as well, decided that we wanted to share some ideas. So, we used Twitter. On a Saturday, we set ourselves up, and these are the countries that we included in an hour's chat. We'll come back to international chats later. But it was a great way to share ideas with other teachers. Yes. First steps. Solo uses the idea of structuring ideas, but also linking ideas together. Now you do that using hexagons. If you put hexagons into Twitter, be warned, Hexagon Bot will follow you. You've met Hexagon Bot, he's a very exciting person. Don't follow him back because it gets really boring after a while. This started with a simple thing. I was doing some revision, so we started with, okay, what makes a simple answer for our assessment? And we did this rather than just talking through and modelling answers on the interactive whiteboard, so we could slide the hexagons around, and we built up to what was a more complicated answer. Then we went on to looking at our diagrams. So this is my, see, I'm a geography teacher, really detailed. See, I'm a secondary school teacher, we do really detailed diagrams. Level 3 diagram, level 4 diagram. Yes, children, you can get a level 6 with a diagram that bad, as long as you label it. And again, we went through the idea of using it. Now, we've got this habit of putting our mark scheme up in the walk room when our children are doing the assessment so they can refer to it. Can you put the hexagons up there as well? Because that actually helped us remember the order to link things together. So the pictorial side of it was starting to come through. Move on. I then had this mad idea, we'd see in a lesson how much progress they could make in the lesson. And the original symbols are pre-structural, which means I know nothing, which quite often happens at the start of a lesson at secondary, probably happens at all other places. Unistructural, you know one or two very simple ideas, but you've got no idea how they connect. So it could be you going around to the posters and you say, right, that looks interesting, that looks interesting. Multistructural, I've got lots of ideas. I could write you a list of 1,000 ideas. I have no idea what they have to do with each other, but I have lots of information. Next one, you can't actually see it, has a little hat and a little pair of feet on the bottom. It's called relational, and it's the idea of linking ideas together, starting to explain how facts go together. And the last one, extended abstract, which I get to very rarely with my pupils, I have to admit, is taking an idea from one area and applying it to something else. So in geography, I use it if we've done one sort of particular country as a case study. They can take the ideas about population there, they can apply it to a different country. So my children filled these sheets in, and we did it for about half a term. And each lesson, we were able to show in most cases that they made progress in the lesson, and they could see it. Because it made at the start of the lesson by saying where their knowledge was. They finished the lesson by saying where their knowledge was. And they started to get the idea for some of them who weren't confident that they could increase their knowledge a lot in one 50-minute lesson. Yes, please. Then I had to formalise it a bit more, and I'm actually now setting up a sort of pedagogy group in the school with the head's permission. So we started using interactive whiteboard, and we started making graphs. So we did a graph at the start of the lesson, we did a graph at the end of the lesson. And I actually did a PSHE day on Wednesday, and I introduced the idea to Year 10. 6 lessons doing exactly the same thing about renewable energies, and we showed progression to every single group. It varied how much, but it was a pictorial way to share with the children what do you need to do to progress, how do you move to that next stage. I did a common introductory lesson where I let them decide what we did as a subject. I learned about some lady called Nicki Minaj, who I'd never heard of, my wife told me was stupid. I learned about a cannibal person in Florida who lots of the boys knew all about in the newspapers at the time. In fact, it was nice to see pupils who never usually interacted suddenly took over a group, taught a group about something that they'd read about, they were obsessed by, and they brought other people on. Next one. Then I did a survey. Have you made progress in 2 weeks? So I have 9 Key Stage 3 classes, so I asked them questions. Have you made progress in 2 weeks? Yes, of course they have, maybe, I don't know. 90% were convinced that they had, and they could start to identify what they'd added to their learning. Solo stages, not quite as successful. Year 7 loved it, Year 8 were okay. Year 9 were a bit more cynical, we've done lots of stuff like this, it's just another way of doing it. That's part of my ongoing research. Is it making a difference to my results? The bit at the end was could they add extra ideas? Okay? They like the drawings. So self and peer assessment we're now doing, they are incredibly accurate, almost straight away at assessing each other's work where they lie on the solo stages. I'm using it in the UK, there are lots of people using it. The idea came from New Zealand originally. It's actually in the New Zealand national curriculum. They have it all the way through primary and secondary. Here it's mainly secondary teachers using it, but there are some changes, I'll come back to that. Okay? Second attempt at a global chat. I must be mad. Last Thursday I had a chat with 5 people on Twitter after UK Ed Chat about solo. The next morning a lady from Australia said, is this a usual thing? No. Could we have a chat about it? Yes, we could, yeah. Why don't we go global? So on Saturday the 13th of April, probably noon in the UK, because we're trying to do it around us and I'm trying to be very jealous, selfish, we're going to have solo global chat. We're going to get primary, secondary practitioners from across the world to take part. So far I've got 6 countries signed up, from the USA across to New Zealand. And the idea will be, it won't record all the things. For an hour, we will chat and we will swap ideas about how we use solo in our classrooms to help our children make progress. And please, you're welcome to join us. And if you're not sure who I am, here are a few hints. There we are.